Good evening, Norcal Karters. This is Jason, and it's September 21st. And first off, if some of you are having problems with the playback of the podcast, if you have an Apple phone, you can do a couple searches online to allow background data or background applications. But if you have continued problems where the podcast just shuts off and you get frustrated and you go, forget about it, I'm going to go do something else, send me a message. Let me know how you're using or listening to the podcast, whether you're listening through norcalkarters.com or through Spreaker or through your favorite podcast platform. And I'll do my best to either address it or fix it on my end if it's possible. But it seems like the Apple phones has a problem, and on the Android phones, if you're listening on the Android phone, the screensaver comes on. You have to go into settings and allow certain applications to work in the background. So, thank you to those who have reported some issues, because I don't know, it always works for me because I don't usually listen to them, and if I do, it's on a computer, not on my phone. So, there you have it. And September 21st. And this is the weekly update for Norcal Karters. And what a week. This one's probably going to be a little bit shorter because last week's was way too long because I rambled. And I'm just burnt. I'm fried. A lot of us in Northern California were at Sonoma, many of us for 2 weeks. And they had the Rock Sonoma event, which was a combined event with the Challenge Karting group out of SoCal. That was 2 weekends ago. And then we had a couple days off. We went right back to Sonoma last weekend for the Rock Festival. So the big daddy of the rock shows, Rock Cup USA, they presented their Rock Fest West at the Sonoma track. And man, there was some fantastic racing. I'll go more over the course of this week. I will go into more details. Gary Carlton / GFCKarting. They're a sponsor of our calendar. I will have either Gary on later this week to recap his experience or one of his team members to recap their experience. It's going to be on a different show, though. It's on my PR podcast. You can still access it from norcalkarters.com. Click on the podcast link, and you can do that. We'll have someone from SwedeTech doing the same thing. And then also we have a couple weeks ago, the Rock Sonoma crew signed up for 2021 on the calendar. So I will do a personal recap for Cameron Karting and Rock Sonoma of the event. I'll probably do that one tomorrow while it's still fresh in my head and just go into how the team did, the environment, and all that fun stuff. But it was a good weekend. It's just a lot of great racing, and I always recap events as far as, the past week or two. So this past weekend, again, Rockfest West at Sonoma. That's a lot of people were there. It was neat. I haven't seen a lot of these guys in a long time, and it was just really neat to reconnect with a lot of them. I think a lot of people felt the same way. Not about seeing me, but just reconnecting with people that they only see at these big national events. And it was really cool. And it looks like some the Rock Cup USA people they're still planning on Vegas. So that's some exciting news. They're still planning on it, and there was a lot of excitement in the pits for that. Also, this past weekend, there was the CCKRA, which is the Central California Kart Racing Association. They had moved their event to Santa Maria because they have a number of team members that are in the Central Valley, Central Coast area. And apparently Team Visalia, that's the shifter guys, that Daryl Tunnel kind of heads up. And Team Visalia had 15 shifter drivers at that event. Just one team, 15 shifter drivers. So I can't wait to join them, possibly in October, at one of their next events. A great group of dudes. The CCKRA seems like it's a really fun racing atmosphere. So kudos to those guys. And then also Northern Nevada Kart Club. They had a club race this past weekend. So there, again, in Northern California or surrounding areas, there's a lot going on. And just to reiterate, I'll do some sort of a podcast for Sweet Tech Racing, for Cameron Karting, and for GFCKarting. And that's going to be on the other show. So if you click on the Norcal Karters podcast link, you'll be able to see it there. And full disclosure, it's a paid placement. So we try to get that out of the way right off the bat, so it's not one of those canned advertising sales pitches you have to sit through. We just say it right off the bat. Yeah, they paid for the placement. Big deal. Now let's get to the content. So hopefully that format really takes off. I think it's exciting. It brings a different style to the, I'll call it media or podcasting. And let's see. So let's get into the events this week, and then I'll do another kind of recap as stuff pops in my brain. So this weekend coming up is a Pro Kart Challenge down in Buttonwillow. Norcal Karters sponsor, GFCKarting. They will be down there supporting customers. The heartbreak news for most of us, the Track Magic Rally in Canby, Pacific Northwest, was postponed due to a number of reasons. Primarily the fire concerns. They had to really postpone it because it was out of their control. On the area of Canby was actually under evacuation. A lot of the planning members, they're going through a lot of stuff just to take care of their family, if you will. So they postponed that. As soon as that happens again, Norcal Karters will be all over it. So that's postponed. Next week, there is the NCK Road Racers. So they will be at Thunderhill for their fall brawl. And they're doing a combined event with the Shelby Owners Group. So NCK Thunderhill, that's taking place October 3rd and 4th. And the same weekend as Northern Nevada Kart Club. And they are having their event on October 4th. And again, all of these events are on norcalkarters.com. Click on the calendar link. Currently, most of the events that are scheduled right now are all sponsors of the site. And the reason I did that, at the beginning of the year, I had everybody. I had all the series, everybody on the calendar. But with COVID, pretty much everybody rescheduled their year. And just to really focus on the sponsors, I put them back up first. So if I'm missing your event and you're not a sponsor, reach out to me. We'll get you on the calendar. But if you go to the calendar and you say, hey, my event's not there, well, that's why. So again, full disclosure, I try not to hide anything. So that was October 3rd, 4th. NCK Thunderhill Fall Brawl. October 4th, Northern Nevada Kart Club. NNKC Reno.com. They have their event going on. Let's see here. Then it looks like October 10th and 11th. As of right now, that looks like it's going to be a blank weekend as far as karting directly in Northern California. So we're going to skip over to October 17th and 18th. CCKRA, that is Central California Kart Racing Association. They have their Central Valley Championships, and that's October 17th and 18th. About 6 months ago, I was down at Bakersfield for the very first time. Didn't even know the track was still open. Very nice facility. The pit space is small, but the actual racing surface was recently repaved and resurfaced. So it was pretty smooth. In a shifter, it was a handful, but it was a lot of fun. It kind of just reminded me of the NorCal tracks, with the exception of Sonoma. Just very quick and a rhythm track. And it's on the side of a hill. So you're going up and down the hills. So it's actually a really neat track. So again, that's October 17th and 18th. And October 24th and 25th, we have a Rock Sonoma presented by Sanzaru Karting. And if you go to sanzarukarting.com, you can find out all the updates, latest news, etc. And you can also register from their website for that event. So that is Rock Sonoma. And as of right now, I'm showing it's a combined event, meaning it's a double header. So race 7 and 8 at Rock Sonoma. I need to actually clarify to make sure that's still the case. And if you're a shifter guy on the West Coast with the Rock package, you really need to be at these races. If you look at the Rock Sonoma entry lists and the current points, and you look at the recent Rockfest West event, it was a stacked field. And it was really neat to see that the Rock Sonoma guys, they really showed extremely well at this national event. So if you're on the West Coast and you're looking for a competitive series, again, sanzarukarting.com, check it out. They have one more event, and then a lot of us are going to get ready for Vegas in November. So, in that same weekend, actually, Rock Sonoma, October 20... Sorry, my screen popped up and blocked my dates. October 24th and 25th. Terrible segue. NCK has their Speed Vegas event. And this will be the first time Speed Vegas will have karts on the track. It will also be the first time Speed Vegas will have an outside race promoter coming in to utilize their facility. So I know there was a lot of excitement about that. So that's taking place on October 25th. So again, Speed Vegas. That should be really neat for people. And again, thank you to Gary Carlton. He's been supporting the calendar for a couple of months now. And Gary Carlton will be at the Rock Sonoma event on October 24th and 25th, supporting his customers. And then we have Halloween. Daylight savings time is coming up. Looks like November 1st. And the big one, Rock the Rio, November 4th through the 8th. And right now it's scheduled to be at Rock the Rio. And like I said, I was at the Sonoma event this weekend. The Rockfest crew was there. They are not calling it quits on Vegas. They are doing everything they can to pull off an event. And one of the things I heard from Garrett, which was kind of a different, fresh approach, he feels it's his obligation to make this event happen. There's a lot of concern out there in the industry with how this year was with COVID and everything. And, Garrett had said, it's like he takes it personal to make this happen because the industry's relying on these big events. So he's not quitting. He's not mailing it in and just can't do it. He's really trying because he wants to make sure that the big teams have a place to go. He wants to make sure the drivers, if they decide they want to make the trek, have a place to race. And he wants that type of event to kind of carry these teams through the winter. So when he had said that, again, it was just a very refreshing approach. And if I was a betting man, I would be looking for rooms if I was a betting man. I would also cover my ass, and I'm going to say make sure they're 100% refundable because you don't know what's going to happen. But I would be making plans to go. I'd be looking for rooms. I would be looking at flights. And it sounds like the Rock Cup guys and gals are really going to push to do everything within their ability to pull off an event for the racer. And now keep in mind, this particular event probably won't be allowed to have a lot of spectators. Most of the racing going on, especially in California, has been limited to essential personnel, one parent, one driver, if it's a junior and a parent, and one mechanic. So keep that in mind for the Vegas event. Plan accordingly. And for more details, definitely reach out to Rock Cup USA. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm probably going to break this show up into two, because there was just so much going on over the weekend. And I want to I try to do my events every Monday night. Like I said, I'm going to do a recap for Cameron Karting. I'm going to do that tomorrow while it's fresh in my head. And tomorrow, I'll also mention who we'll have for GFCKarting and Sweet Tech Racing. I think the proper way to do it, though, is to kind of break it up, because there's just so much going on for the at Rock Sonoma. I mean, again, I was up there for not a solid 2 weeks. I don't want to exaggerate, but 2 races in a row. And there was some great racing going on in pretty much all the classes. Rock Cup USA. Please don't ban me for this comment, but please, please, please open up your entry list so it's publicly viewed. It goes both ways. There were a couple of classes that were a little bit light. And there were a couple of drivers that would have showed up in the shifter stuff if they would have seen the entry list ahead of time and saw how stacked the 2 shifter classes were. So please, 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 just make it public. And then everyone knows, as far as who's in the class, etc. And it just drives excitement. And then, I hate to say it, but for the classes that are a little bit smaller, it allows someone to make the decision or to contact the series and say, hey, are we going to run this class? If no one else shows up, is it refundable? And that's always a hard conversation. I never want to be a race promoter because I don't ever want to have to deal with that type of stuff. But I can think of 5 shifter drivers right off the top of my head right now that would have been on the track in Sonoma. And again, there was no public entry list, so they really weren't sure who was showing up. And that field was stacked. So don't ban me for that comment, Rock Cup USA. But just some of the stuff that I had heard in the pits, and I think it's a pretty valid point. And I understand as a promoter, I don't know, if the class is a little light, you probably don't want to publish that, but it is what it is. Let's see. Kimberly Cameron just chimed in on the chat. So October 24th and 25th, that is round 5 and 6. It is a doubleheader event weekend. So I imagine they probably will also have official practice on Friday on that. But if you go to NorcalKarters.com, click on the Rock Sonoma calendar link, and the very first thing is SanzaruKarting.com. You can click on their link. It'll take you right to the site for all the race info, results, about Rock Sonoma, their sponsors. Let's see here. And today, back to the 21st. So quick recap. This weekend, Pro Kart. GFCKarting will be down there supporting their customers. Next weekend, October 3rd and 4th, NCK, Thunderhill, Fall Brawl. Also that weekend, Northern Nevada Kart Club, that's NNKC Their event is on October 4th. Let's see here. Previously scheduled NCK Speed Vegas on October 11th was bumped out to October 25th, which happens to be the same weekend as Rock Sonoma rounds 5 and 6. And GFCKarting will be supporting his customers at that event as well. Back up 1 week, Central California Kart Racing Association, October 17th and 18th at the Bakersfield Kart Raceway. So they're dubbing it their Central Valley Championship. And November 4th through the 8th, Rock the Rio. So, and don't forget, I'm not going to get political, but November 3rd. Start reading the bills, the platforms, whatever. I should have it in front of me. It just came in the mail today. But your propositions are very important. Research your candidates, but you really got to just go through it. And you have over a month. So start on it now. Just one proposition a day. Start researching it. Candidates, just research one or two a day. That's all you got to do. Stay off Facebook. Reading a meme or a meme on Facebook is not political research. So November 3rd is election day. Cast your vote. And let's see. I think that's going to be it for tonight. So like I said, look for 3 shows this week. I'm going to do a Cameron Karting recap. I'm going to do a GFCKarting recap. And I'm going to have a SwedeTech recap for the Rockfest event that just took place. So everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing the podcast. If you are having a hard time listening, not just to my content, but if the player shuts off, let me know what player you're using. Let me know what app or phone or platform you're using. And maybe we'll have some workarounds down the road for that. So thank you for listening. And everyone have a great evening.